Welcome once again in Absolute Punjab. Uh, I think you still remember me. I'm your Punjabi teacher, Harnek Singh Rai. And this lesson is slightly different. It's more like a discussion. Uh, Probably some of you know that India was under British Empire for almost 200-300 years, and they left India in 1947. So when these English people or Britons from UK they were there, they have some problem to understand Indian language, and Indians always have a problem to understand English at that time especially. So some words from English Indian they picked, and they did not really realize that they are speaking English words. For example, some words are so common, whoever some people they didn't even go to school, they still use these words thinking these are Indian words. For example, every day we use these words. I give you some common examples like car, truck, cycle, cup, plate, tie, coat, pants, something like that. There's so many other. And sometime some radio host in Punjabi radio station they ask their listeners question that you have to say something for 30 seconds or 1 minute, and you have to speak pure Punjabi language. Sometimes they use even cycle or a cup or some words, and but they give them some clue what you have to speak about. Sometimes they speak about like vehicles and cars and this and that. But today I want to tell you a few words. These words has been recognized by Oxford English Dictionary, and they added these words into English Dictionary because they picked from India. Some words are not really that common in English, but I will tell you a few words which are really widely used in English, and many people they don't even know these are Hindi or Punjabi words. I will start from simple words and try to explain what's the meaning and how or why did they picked, because the why is very hard to say, because sometimes we have one word and we know the meaning in other language, but we don't find the same exact meaning in our language. So rather than to create a new word which will be very hard to tell people that this is the new word we picked, or we adopted from another language and this is the meaning, we simply start to use that word. For example, one word in Hindi language is used for a long time, is this is just there, Badmaash. This word is used in Urdu, even Hindi and Punjabi, and the meaning is simply uh, some person really dishonest, or who make money by bad means, or he fight with people. Usually this word is used for a bad person. If someone is really bad, or he fight with people, or make his living by bad means, like I said, dishonest, we call badmash. This word has been added into Oxford English Dictionary. And another the Indian food dish is called Bhel Puri. This word also, we know that this word is also added into Oxford English Dictionary, but this is a Hindi word, or probably the Urdu we can say, because there are so many words which are close to where the meaning or exactly spoken same way in Hindi, Punjabi, and Urdu. This Velpuri is Indian dish which is puffed with the rice and onions and other spices. So this dish the name has been added into Oxford English Dictionary. And another word now, you know that Indian dress, most not all but many Indian dresses are now becoming a fashion worldwide. One is called Chudidar. Churi, they write down Churidar because there is a ra word that doesn't exist in English. We call Chudidar something like this. The meaning of Chudidar, this really tight woman dress. This is like a female, very tight. We can say trousers, but it's not really trousers. The material is used way longer than the legs length. So because it's very tight, it will not go under your feet and stuck to your ankles. But there's so many wrinkles kind of thing it produced because the material is longer than required. So in Indian language, when we see a thread on a bolt, we call chudi sometime. So it gives you the resemblance of some sort of like a thread kind of, or like a deep thread on the clothes or the pants or lower dress, which is called, we call it in Punjabi and Hindi language chudidar, which has been adopted into English language. The next word, which is became very common and well known, is called chutney. Chutney, it's very hard to explain. It's like a spicy Indian thing made of fruits or some vegetables, and chatna means to lick. So it is actually not really a main dish, but it's some sort of a side dish that we can eat with rice or roti, we call chapati. This is a side dish, and it became known worldwide, and now it is used for different meanings rather than only food dish. Well, sometimes you go to music or movies, and they just some radio shows they start to call it chutney, but this is a Indian or Punjabi word. And the other word I want to say became very common is called didi. Didi is used for females, and most of the time this word is used for sister or your cousin. But most likely we use this Didi word in Indian culture when sister is a little bit older than you. If it's the same age, we don't use this word. If it's slightly 5, 6, 7 years older than you, then most of the Indian people, they use this word, which is now became pretty common in foreign countries, and this probably is adopted by Oxford English Dictionary too. And other one is the word actually I'm going to tell you used like two different words. One is single word and one is two words, which is called masala, or sometimes they write down garam masala. Masala or garam masala means same in Indian language, but when we talk at home, usually we call it masala because everybody know at home what masala means. But when we go to the shop or we want to buy it or we want to explain it to other people who cannot understand, probably don't understand simple what masala is, then we call them garam masala. Then they know this is a mixture of Indian spices which we use to cook curries and food, and these are usually ground spices, and it's becoming very common. There hardly any Indian dish which is cooked without masala. Some curries probably we cook without masala, but most of the spices which are used to make this total or one word or thing, mixture of spices masala, most of the spices are used individually or as a mixture of all, and it is used in mostly a powder form because we grind it, we mix the spices and we grind it. This is became people start to know what the meaning of this word is. There's so many words which probably I can talk about hours, but I will tell you today only a few very common words. What one other word is Yaar. This means a very good friend, a close friend. Sometimes people they are not even your friend, but they always use this word. Yaar, tell me this. What you doing, Yaar? Like what you doing? Some sort of a meaning in English is what you doing, buddy? How are you, mate? What you doing, my friend? This word is now adopted by English Oxford Dictionary, and this word is very common in Indian language. And now actually when we use this word, it used to be only for men, but now we hear sometime in some movies that some girls they start to use the word for their girlfriend, but that is which still some people consider like slang for a woman, because this word is for males, but there's nothing wrong with this word, so it is just your understanding how you take it. But this word is becoming very common now. Rather than to talk about so many other words, I'm going to talk some very well known, very common words. Probably you hear often. One is called veranda. Sometime if you see this veranda, or sometime in English they write down like this, veranda. And this is Indian word. When English went to India, they didn't have no word for this because UK is usually very cold, so they didn't need this. But in India, sometime in the summer, you cannot sit down inside the house because it's very hot. And if you go out, sometime it will be a very strong sun. But because electricity shortage at that time, most of the villages they didn't even have electricity, so very hard to get electric fan because there's no electricity. So what they will do is they will extend their home, and there will be only roof and some pillars, something like here. Now we start to call the porch kind of thing, but this is slightly different from porch. It's like really the part of the house with the strong pillars and made of brick, the roof. So people used to sit down outside to get some fresh air. So this veranda we used to call baranda. So some people, this usually in Punjabi we still write down probably more like most of the time with B, like Bobby, baranda, and in rest of the Indian state provinces outside Punjab. Sometimes they call that Verandah, and this was picked from India by British people when they were in India. Now this word is very common. And other word very very common is this. Bungalow. Because when we buy the house now, we usually try to know if this house is single story, double story, side split, whatever. When we write on bungalow, we know this house is a single story. And actually in India, this house here, bungalow is a bungalow. You know the description of bungalow is a single story. But in India at that time, it used to be a bungalow single story with veranda in the front. And because this state from India Bengal, actually the meaning of bungalow or bangla, we used to call it bangla. In India it's called bangla. Bangla means a house is Bengal style. You know, because most of the time these houses were in Bengal, and now the Bengal style is a bangla. It became a bungalow, which is an Indian word, and it's very common worldwide. People know what bungalow is. And another word is very common. You know, this is called bandana. Bandana, you know that it's a scarf kind of, or a long handkerchief when people tie on their head. Actually, this is also taken from India. In India, the word bandana used to be called bandana or bandana. Bandana or bandana, they picked up and changed because the bandana or bandana means something to tie up in a knot. And this word became bandana because British, they didn't know the right pronunciation, so they make their own pronunciation. They started to call it bandana. And we don't have that much time to discuss all the words. I will explain only 2-3 more words, and we end this lesson. If you have any request, you can tell me. I can discuss some more words. One word in India is very common. Lahti. And Lahti means a strong stick. And probably most of the people, they know that the Indian police, they still carry big sticks. So this stick, Lahti, you know, the British people, they picked from Indian language because whenever there will be any demonstration, especially against British government, the freedom fighters, or there is a mob trying to loot the other shops or homes, then the mob will be beaten up by the police with their long sticks. And that's why they pick up this word, Lahti, and they make they picked another English word and combined with this, which is called charge. So when the mob will be beaten up with the sticks, they used to call Lahti charge. You can see some international newspaper, they write down, sometimes the mob was Lahti charged, so they write down this, Lahti charged. And we know that they were beaten by the sticks. This is a pure Indian word, Lahti. Another word is pretty common. We call it Pundit. They write down Pundit, but we used to write down like this, Pundit. This is Indian or Punjabi and Hindi language we call Pundit. Now in English they started to write down Pundit. and it's very Pundit means someone very knowledgeable or about politics or day-to-day life accounts, and we used to call it a pundit. This belonged to a caste too. They used to be mathematicians, or they used to know about astronomy, astrology. We call them pundit. So this word was picked, and to make you understand easier, now if you see the newspapers, this word is used, and usually they write down to explain about politics. If sometimes you will see this word in the newspapers, they call pundits of politics. So when you see this word pundits of politics, this is pundit is Indian word which is taken from the Indian language and added to English language. So pundit of politics, you understand, this is about politics. And another word which is now used worldwide. This is people say this word probably is from some Arabian countries, but this is very, very popular and common in day-to-day life in India, especially Punjabi and Sikh religion. We call it guru. Actually, the simple meaning of guru is teacher, who teach you something. But this is this word is used by Sikhs for their gurus, who are the teachers, the 10 gurus, and this word is very common now. If someone wanted to tell you that someone is the master of something, we call him guru. You can see some weightlifters or bodybuilder, they use this word. They say iron guru. Iron guru means, they lift the weights because most of the weights are made of iron. So they call it iron guru to explain someone is a very, very knowledgeable and well-known person in weight training. And another word which is really becoming is already probably known, but really now in a short few years, it's becoming like people start to use everywhere. It's called Juggernaut. Actually, this word is probably Sanskrit or Hindi language. We use in Punjabi too, but it's mostly Sanskrit of a Hindi word. Juggernaut, this is not the real word. This is called, there are two types words we write down in two different ways. I will write down both. One is called Juggernaut or Juggernaut, or sometimes people can write down just one word, no space here, Juggernaut. Jag means the world, the whole world, the entire world. Nath means some sort of like the owner, the master. So Juggernaut becomes some sort of like a god or the supreme power. Or the god or the god, and same as Juggernaut. That means same meaning. We think it's like a supreme power, a big power which control the world, and this word is picked from Juggernaut to like a Juggernaut, which is Indian word. And I will explain only one or two words, and then we finish the lesson. Probably it's becoming slightly longer. One word we call is, it's called a tug, but in Indian language, because we cannot write down the same sound, some sounds in English, we don't call it tug. We call it tug, like t. thug. So thug means a con man. Mostly these people, they usually when you're traveling in the old time, they will become your friends and they pretend they are traveling with you, and sometimes their other friends, they will meet them on the way, and they will loot them, they will rob them, and sometimes they rob them and they kill those people, and these are called thugs, and which became like an English word. Another word to combine with this is called loot. In Punjabi and Hindi, we don't pronounce it loot. We call lut. It's very hard to write down in English, but I write down like this, maybe Lutt. Lut means to usually in English we can say something like a ransack, or sometimes the mob, they go and break the windows and they steal the things, and they don't pay whatever is stolen by the fact of looting, just to grab it free, because that sometimes there are people, the mob, they become mad, and they just go wild and steal things. That is called looting in English. Now that the meaning is same, because there is no proper word in English. The British or English people, they got it from Indian language. I can talk for a long time and discuss so many other words. There is no special reason to make this lesson. The only just for fun, because when we sit down and talk, most of the Indian people, they said, oh, we have so many words from English and we don't even have our own words, which is probably, I'm not really embarrassed or ashamed for that, because it is very hard to create every single word in any language, because when we travel, we see something and people discuss, or they just try to explain their views and their feelings, and they use different words. Some words, they do not exist in our language, so there is nothing wrong with that, and I'm happy that the language is probably, we try to make the language perfect, even we use some foreign words. So I hope you enjoy this lesson. And as I said, this is just a simple discussion. There's no special purpose of this. And I will try to make some other lessons like that outside teaching you Punjabi language, how to speak and write. And I will upload some more lessons shortly. And once again, thank you for watching.